You and George Conway, big Trump critic, were on CNN together and had a fight about Michael Cohen and his credibility because he's up Monday. Michael Cohen's next up. He's coming up on Monday, and he really will be the star witness. Let's show the audience a little bit of that.
Look, at the end of the day, what's a reasonable doubt? I think it's going to be hard for the jury to believe that Donald Trump didn't know that these payments were for the
George, at the end of the day, an experienced lawyer of your magnitude, you know what you would say? If you were trying this case, you know what you would say to the jury? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you're one of the luckiest juries around because you got to meet Mr. Reasonable Doubt. You saw him walk in here. You saw him take this stand. If there's any human being on the planet Earth that should be, his picture should be next to the definition, reasonable doubt, it's Michael Cohen. And if you have reasonable Cohen,
you could cross-examine Michael
why?
Cohen.
His history of being a liar, of being a fraud. He just
as opposed to the defendant?
The defendant's credibility, unless he takes the stand, is not on trial.
It is.
So my first question is, you were sitting next to Jeffrey Toobin. Did he keep his pants on the entire time?
Megyn, you know, I'm always straight up with you, and he's been so nice to me. And the last 3 weeks that I've been on CNN...
I don't care. That was a joke. I don't want to open up to Toobin. He's very sweet. He's super loving, especially to himself.
He's actually made, the last 3 weeks, people have noticed, he's actually made a lot of the points for the defense. When I first went on the first week,
give a shit. I don't care whether he's pro-Trump. That, unlike all of the hard right, I don't make my assessments of people based on their love or hatred for Donald Trump. He's a disgusting pig.
Pro-defense. Okay, well, okay, that's your opinion. I'm not going to go there. He's made a lot of pro-defense.
I think you can argue it's a fact.
Thank you, Mark.
I think it's
Mark,
factual.
I'm listening to you, Mark.
Yeah, let it go.
Mark, I'm listening to Mark. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, okay. So now wait. I got to make one other point because this is a point, zooming out about journalism. When David Pecker took the stand, you guys remember this, the former guy who ran the National Enquirer, he talked about how he's the one who was paying off women or doormen to try to protect Trump. He didn't actually cut the check for Stormy, which is why Michael Cohen stepped in and did it. The media started to sneer at the National Enquirer's tactics. And I'm not defending their tactics. You know, we all know what the National Enquirer is and what it does. But I made the point at the time that their sanctimony was a bit misplaced because I knew very well from my time over in broadcast news and cable for that matter, that these networks, especially the big ones, also pay for stories. And they may go out there on the air and act holier than thou, like we would never do that. We would never pay for a story. But they do. And I said at the time, you know how they do it? They pay licensing fees for somebody's exclusive photos. And it's just a backdoor, scuzzy way of doing what you're not allowed to do through the front door. Here is one example of one MSNBCer, Alex Wagner, talking about this disgusting checkbook journalism at the time Pecker took the stand.
Number one, for all journalism students out there, checkbook journalism, not a thing. It is not a thing. The strategy from Trump's team, at least as I understood it today, seems to be to normalize outlandish things, which is the arguing that NDAs are just a common practice, that lots of wealthy people do them. This is nothing abnormal. Everybody has NDAs. You guys may not have heard about them before, but it happens. This is a thing that is done. Just because Trump had a bunch of people signing NDAs doesn't mean there's anything suspect about that. Catch and kill. It happens all the time. There's nothing illegal about this scheme. This sort of thing happens all the time. This is from Todd Blanche's mouth to the jury. And then my favorite, there is nothing wrong with trying to influence an election. It's called democracy. That is not how the world works.
Wow.
Okay, she is completely clueless. All right, number one, as you guys know, NDAs happen all the time, especially at NBC. Some of the people on this panel may have had to sign one. I'm just saying. And I could give you a long list of women who have been silenced by NBC News, her news organization, because of what her male colleagues have done. All right? So wake up, sweetheart. Read a newspaper every once in a while instead of struggling on the teleprompter like you always do. That's one thing Keith Olbermann was right about. Secondly, nobody ever does catch and kill. NBC is the poster child for catch and kill. You caught and killed the beginning of the Me Too movement and the Harvey Weinstein story to protect Matt Lauer. That's what Ronan Farrow posited in his book. You denied it. He proved it. Beyond a reasonable doubt, you guys are the inventors of catch and kill. And third, checkbook journalism and your sanctimonious denial. She's so clueless. This is what Stormy Daniels testified to, per Katie Fang, who works at MSNBC. So you should pay attention to her. Necklace. And you also participated, Ms. Daniels, in making an NBC documentary about yourself, which aired on television just recently, right? Daniels, yes. They gave me $100,000 for back footage. But I wasn't paid for the interview. It was for footage. These people are disgusting liars. They wouldn't know themselves if they saw themselves in the mirror. They are guilty of all the things they now pretend make them so disgusted. I'm disgusted with them. Who wants to take that one?
Megyn, listen, the MSNBC, they live for all of the sort of the drama and the seediness of all of this stuff that's come out. And it goes back to what is relevant at this trial. Yes, of course, it makes for good TV. It makes for interesting discussions on MSNBC about checkbook journalism and NDAs and all that. But they're getting so far afield from what's actually relevant in this trial, which was, did Donald Trump commit a crime by causing the ledger at this Trump organization to be fraudulent, and did he have criminal intent? Stormy Daniels wanted to make money. She wanted to be paid. She wanted to engage in this checkbook journalism. So quit trying to make her out to be some victim in all of this, because she was doing it to make money. And it, of course, because she's trying to earn money, it goes directly to her credibility. MSNBC and all the other folks that want to make this about the habits of the National Enquirer and all of these things, it's so irrelevant that it's just maddening, because the Trump trial should have been over in about 5 minutes. Stormy Daniels' testimony should have been limited to how and under what circumstances she received a check from her lawyer. But instead, it's been allowed to grow and morph into something that is so far afield from what Trump may or may not have done that it's an embarrassment, quite frankly, to the legal system and the legal community. This is not how trials are supposed to work. This is not how justice in America is supposed to work. And because it's come down to this, it's absolutely the kind of thing that I wonder if we'll ever be able to have faith and confidence in the objectivity and reasonableness of our justice system again.
And I
involves a political
punish
defendant.
The prosecution in closing argument, less Stormy Daniels, because again, whether she's believed or not, is only about the affair. I punish the prosecution in closing argument. I undermine their credibility, that they're so desperate, they're willing to do whatever it takes to get Trump, void of the evidence that they need, that they put this woman on solely for the salacious details to make Donald Trump look bad. How dare they do that in a criminal case? You all should be offended.
To Phil's
and I think
point
people need
about
to remember, they need to remember the media is complicit in all of it. That media is who large numbers of the populace are relying on for their facts about this case, for what's really happening inside. NDAs are an abomination. Who would ever use them? This from NBC, right? Who would ever do a catch and kill? From NBC. And checkbook journalism is disgusting. They do it all the time. That's what Trump is up against.